I was told that diversity is a strength, and I understood the concept in a particular way that made me say, you're right, it is. And let me explain. When you have, say, American culture, and someone comes from Asia, they bring with them ideas and perspectives and even language that allows them to perceive things that we can't. So long as they agree to adhere to the underlying culture and the rules and the laws and the norms that we have, everything works out just fine. Say you're producing some kind of technology. Someone comes from another country that has a different take on the technology, and they say, did you know if you do X and Y, you will get a slightly better result? And they say, oh, wow, I never thought of that. That's what diversity is supposed to be. That people of different backgrounds have different experiences, and they can lend themselves to share ideas that we didn't have before. I've talked about this in the past. Tucker Carlson said diversity is not a strength, and my counter was that Tucker actually has on his show a diverse range of opinions, showing that it is. It's important to highlight the good and the bad and have the conversation about it. But I think a lot of people look at diversity and think it's disparate opposing factions crashing into each other. And that doesn't make sense. No, of course not. That's not a strength. That's divisiveness. Divisiveness is not a strength. So long as people are presenting new kinds of art, new ideas, but existing under the umbrella that is a particular culture, it makes sense. So I was told that diversity was going to be a good thing. And this utopian view of it is people of all different colors and backgrounds, everyone wearing different clothing and having different cultures. Instead, what we ended up getting is this weird, twisted, and nightmarish future where you're not actually allowed to partake in other people's culture. They call it cultural appropriation. They want everyone to be in neat little boxes separated from each other. Well, that is the diversity that Tucker Carlson is talking about being bad. That is not people coming together under one common set of cultural values. That's you segregating people. In the end, in order to create equality, they must pander to the lowest common denominator. There will not be a beautiful future of vibrant colors and people of different backgrounds sharing and us looking at beautiful clothes because they're telling us it's not allowed. And the art we're getting is dull and kind of creepy. Check out this story from a few days ago. Now, I'll admit, I don't much care for emojis, and I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. But this does provide an interesting example of how, for one, pandering to everybody produces the lowest common denominator of content, which is valueless for the most part. And it also starts becoming confusing and quite creepy. Apple now offers gender-neutral versions of nearly every human emoji, and LGBTQ advocates are praising the company's push towards equal representation. Okay, so they've created a third option. Okay, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I want to show you what we can expect when we come into this world where equality is a mandate. Take a look at the first set of emojis. For those that are listening, I'll just describe it. You have a person with long hair, shoulder-length hair, and a purple shirt. On the right, you have a person with short hair and a blue shirt. And in the middle, you have a person with kind of like medium-length hair and a gray shirt. I'll point out the first problem. I was told that gender is a social construct and that anybody can wear any color they want and men can have long hair, and it's true they can. Why then do they need to make a third option when the individual wearing purple with long hair could very easily be male? Why do they need to make a medium-haired individual? Well, how about this? How about instead of making emojis at all, you make a variety of people, I guess? Instead, what do we get? Well, the original emojis had color. And now we have a gray and kind of bland figure. This is the lowest common denominator. There's no vibrancy. There's no pizzazz. There's no beauty. It's generic. I'm worried about a future in which, here's the joke I made several times in the past. A future where everyone's shaving their head and wearing gray jumpsuits with no pockets because, well, we got to have equality, right? And I'm being hyperbolic when I say that's where we're headed. But look at how the emojis are turning out. In this one image, it's a guy doing, meditation. He's wearing orange, and the woman is wearing purple. Why did they need to make a gray version? To me, that's just in order to pander to those who say, actually, let me step back. I read that in the early 1900s or something, when babies were born, boys would get pink and girls would get blue, and at some point it switched. I don't know if that's apocryphal, but I'm wondering, how is it that they can argue that males can have any color they want, but then advocate for gray emojis? Why can't they just be happy with the emojis that exist and use them to represent whatever idea they want? Because they can't, I guess? None of it really makes sense. Now, I'll stop here and say, okay, if you want to make a third option that's gray, dull, and lifeless, fine. I don't care. Have your emojis. It's kind of a stupid idea. But now we get to the point where I use this as an example to talk about how things actually are kind of creepy. Take a look at this. Emojipedia. I know emojis are stupid, whatever. They say, couple with heart now displays two people with an ambiguous gender-inclusive design, instead of showing with the same design as couple with heart woman, man. On the left, there is the individual has lipstick on, long hair, purple shirt. It's only half of their face. And the other half is blue shirt, short hair with a heart in the middle. That's cis heteronormativity, I believe it's called. On the right, you have two identical looking people with gray shirts and a heart in between. That may be one of the creepiest and most robotic images I've ever seen, but it gets better. Family. The emoji just below it on Emojipedia, they say. In iOS 13.2, family now displays two adults and one child, all with ambiguous gender-inclusive appearance, instead of showing with the same design as family, man, woman, boy. If you, the child, okay, all right. The first image, short hair, blue shirt. Next to the man is red shirt, long hair, and there's a child. I guess you could call it a boy, but girls can have short hair too, so I don't know what they're trying to imply, but it's a turquoise shirt. Now here's where it gets truly creepy and strange, and I think this is where we're headed. It is two identical individuals with medium-length hair wearing gray, and a child with medium-length hair wearing gray. That's not family. Okay, and the joke I made is that both of these images are not family or couple. Couple meaning relationship. It's twincest. You know what twincest is? It's like incest, but between two identical siblings. Take a look at, okay, so for those that are listening, I'll explain it, but this one got slammed, it's got ratioed hard. But really, seriously, look at these images. Two identical figures that do still look quite masculine. They still look rather male. And a child who is ambiguous, and they're wearing gray. Man, a guy doesn't have to wear blue. A woman doesn't have to wear red. But this is the only way to solve the problem. If people are complaining it's not equality, the only solution is to strip out anything that would make it stand out or offend someone's delicate sensibilities. So no, the colors must go. Even though colors mean very little. Lipstick gotta go. I thought men could wear lipstick. What's wrong with that? Why don't they make the one character a drag queen? Because that would be offensive. So herein lies the problem. In the UK, there's this idea that by passing laws that are inclusive, you will get the result you expect. In the US, there's, for the most part, in New York City, it's kind of been fine because what's happened is they used to have bathrooms that had multiple stalls and it would be for males or females. With the new passing of these equality laws, new businesses now just create single unit bathrooms. Totally acceptable. That to me is fine. I actually prefer it. You walk in behind you, you lock the door, you get your own room for a little while. And instead of building 2 rooms with a bunch of toilets, they build like 4 rooms. So there's less toilets, but you get your own private room. It's complicated, pros and cons. I actually kind of like it. Then no one can complain about anything. There's no men or women. There's just literally bathroom. And you walk in one and you get your own private room. That's kind of awesome. Here's the problem. For existing systems, you now have males and females sharing spaces. In the US, for the most part, we haven't seen a big problem with this. But in the UK, things are very different. In response to these laws, they've now built massive single-unit showers. And I covered this story a while ago. It results in males and females in the same unisex shower. Okay, guess what happened? Lo and behold, there are now assaults on the rise. The reason I bring this up is the idea we were presented with was this beautiful, diverse future of all of these different colors and all these different people, and that's not what we're getting because everything is offensive. If you want true equality, the only thing you can do is strip out any color from everything. Let's say we were supposed to have this beautiful rainbow future. Okay, well, here's the problem. Apple doesn't want to offend conservatives or liberals or the Japanese or whatever, so they're like, just make everything generic and bland. Unfortunately, it's still offensive. There is no escaping this. What do you do then? Get rid of emojis? You see how they've changed what literally is a family. And also, the families can be of any skin color and hair type. You can like hold it down and select a different one. And the characters are yellow to begin with. So I don't know, is that supposed to be Asian or something? So, you know, I think you get the point. All they've done is made a new kind of offensive content. What do? The lowest common denominator will be bland, stripped of life, boring, and in this regard, it's actually really, really creepy. Because you're no longer advocating for what is a traditional family, and you can argue whether a traditional family should or shouldn't be this way, but here's the thing. You've created an image of identical twins in a romantic relationship. That is not diversity. That is not progressive or equal. That is weird and creepy. They didn't have to make them identical. Ultimately, the big point I'm trying to make here is, first, who cares about emojis? I know. People are going to screenshot this video and be like, oh God, now Tim's ranting about emojis. It's not the emojis that I care about. It's what they represent. It is just a simple example of you add this one grain of sand to the heap of our bland, dull, lifeless future, and we are absolutely heading towards the point where people will have to wear gray jumpsuits because everyone else will be offended by everything. And it's not even going to be a jumpsuit. It's going to be those full body, spandex suits, so nobody can see anything. And I don't know, it's just going to be gray blobs walking around. Kind of reminds me of, what was it, A Scanner Darkly? You ever see that movie? Where they would wear those suits that were like flickering different identities because they weren't supposed to know who the other investigators were. That's where we're going, in my opinion. This is not, they pander to the lowest common denominator. They pander to the outrage of the fringe far left. And all it ends up doing is making a weird blob of offensive nonsense. There's no way to pander to everybody who's always offended, but I will end with one final point on this. While stressing, I get it, just an emoji, I don't care for emojis, we'll move on. The people who actually care about this and view gender as non-binary or neutral or whatever are a micro fraction of this, of our country, of our society, of our world. You take a look at the American population and you'll see a decent percentage of people who identify as non-binary. But take a look at the global population. What is it? 0.00001% of people. And now Apple, and it's not just Apple, I think Google does the same thing, around the world are creating this weird image. Now here's what's scary to me. Most people don't want this. Most people think it's weird. But they're injecting it into culture because of a fringe faction of authoritarian individuals who are so angry and outraged all the time, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And this will have an impact on people's perception growing up. I'll just wrap it up here because I don't even know if I truly care too much about this. I said I made the joke about living in a future where there's just no jump, everyone's wearing jumpsuits, there's no color, everything's bland and boring and segregated. And this is an example of that. Why? That's where we're headed. I guess, whatever. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think about the Twincest emojis. And I kind of, there are a bunch of other stories going on with politics, and I thought I'd open today with something a bit more irreverent in a sense, but whatever. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.